Hello, YMCA members. Jenny and Nancy are back with the wellness series. So we're really going to focus on physical wellness today. We've got some flies and we've got some bees buzzing around. So if we're flitting them and shooing them away, don't mind us. So as we mentioned in our intro, physical wellness means taking care of your body, eating healthy, nutritious food, getting some form of exercise every day, eliminating or trying to eliminate some really unhealthy habits such as alcohol, overusing alcohol, smoking, getting enough sleep. I think we always underestimate how much sleep we need. Physical wellness is also about managing our stress and making time for preventive medical and dental health. All right, so starting with physical exercise. One question that comes up a lot is how much is enough? And I always encourage people, I said, physical activity counts as physical exercise. You may go to the gym for an hour a day, but it's also about what do you do in those other 23 hours of the day. If you go to the gym and you work out for an hour a day, but you're sedentary the other 23 hours, you might not reach your goals related to physical activity and strength. So we encourage people, mowing the lawn, pulling weeds, gardening, cleaning your house, standing and walking when you're on the telephone. Those are things that keep us stronger. The less we sit, the healthier we're going to be. And in fact, I think it was just probably within the last couple of years, they're saying that sitting is the new smoking for a lot of people because we sit so much. It's affecting our heart and our cardiovascular system, which brings me to our cardiovascular system, all right? So what is cardio exercise? Cardiorespiratory, cardiovascular exercise, they're used interchangeably. Brisk walking, swimming, running, rowing, using the elliptical are all forms of cardiovascular exercise. When you do strength training with minimal rest between your sets, and you keep your heart rate elevated, that could also be considered a form of cardio exercise. Burns more calories. The stronger, we all have to remember the heart is a muscle, just like your bicep or your tricep. It makes, the stronger your heart is, our hearts, it's easier for the blood to be pumped through the heart when the heart muscle is strong. So the heart doesn't have to work as hard. So that's one of the best reasons to exercise and strength training, and use cardiovascular and strength training interchangeably. Try to do both.
Yeah. So oftentimes our cardiovascular health is combined with our lung health, called cardiopulmonary health. Just in case you've ever heard those words, now you know what they are. So our cardiopulmonary system together is our heart and our lungs, because our lungs and our heart work together to pump the blood, keep it oxygenated, keep our muscles healthy, everything. So the American Heart Association has a lot of information out there about we're gonna see how this plays out. Has a lot of information out there about minimum requirements and what would be best for how often and what intensity in which working out is going to be beneficial for your cardiovascular and pulmonary health. And they'll talk about resting heart rate and active heart rate, and the healthier your resting heart rate is, the more you can push that active heart rate and train that heart as the muscle that it is to improve overall cardiovascular and cardiopulmonary health. That lung capacity gets bigger, breathing helps get oxygen to the muscles and out into the blood. It's one of the most basic things that we can do for our health. So focusing on our heart and our lungs are going to be a great place to start if you are new to the physical fitness journey.
Absolutely. So one question that we are asked a lot, especially by women, if I lift weights, am I going to get big and bulky? No. Unless you are injecting male steroids and hormones into your body, you are not going to develop a male-sized body. To achieve a larger muscle, you can achieve a larger muscle and a stronger muscle, and it's called hypertrophy, by lifting heavier weights, maybe 6 to 8 repetitions, instead of what we start people training in 10 to 15 repetitions. If you're looking for more muscle endurance, we're going to lower the weight and we're going to have you do more repetitions. So for a larger, stronger muscle, you're going to go heavier weight, fewer reps. For more muscular endurance, you're going to decrease the weight and increase the reps. So strength training improves the strength of our joints. It helps us to become more mobile and helps prevent us from getting injured. But it's very important to lift weights the correct way. Please don't sacrifice lifting more weight. Don't give up your technique. Make sure you always practice good technique regardless of whether you're lifting heavier weight or lighter weight, because poor technique can result in muscle injury. So when we're talking about preventing injury, we have connective tissue underneath our skin. There's muscle, there's connective tissue, there's fascia. Those things all support our joints, right? And one thing to remember as well is it's not just the muscle, but it's the connective tissue you're strengthening as well. But it's important to leave at least 48 hours of rest when you're lifting weights. So if you lift weights on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, perfect. Then maybe include your cardio on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That recovery time, rest and recovery,
Yes.
is super, super important. So, being the biomedical anthropologist that I am, I'm going to talk a little bit more about joints and bone health, just because that is one of my specialty areas, osteology. So talking about keeping our joints nice and strong and our bones nice and strong, we're going to talk about that a little bit in our next physical wellness video, nutrition, because this one is a bulky topic, so we divided it into two. So keeping those joints strong means listening to them while we're working out. Some of the most common joint injuries that people come in with are shoulders, hips, knees, and lower back. And there are certain ranges of motion that just don't work for people. So if you can't do like a lift over your head and you still need to strengthen your shoulders, there are other options
Yes.
for how to strengthen those shoulders. So you can only go up to like a certain height, and that's okay. Modifications don't make you weak, they make you smart. So when we're talking about strength training, you have to pick the type of strength training that's going to be best for you, whether it's making larger, more dense muscle tissue or that long, lean, more functional type of muscle tissue, whatever your goals are. We have to protect the joints in the process. So yoga is a great way to protect the joints. Working out with resistance bands can help, but also eating a diet, which we'll talk about next time, that is beneficial for your bones. So lots of vitamin D and calcium, magnesium, things like that. That's going to help keep those joints nice and steady, nice and stable, and focusing in on, like, really start to get to know your body. Start to get to know what those joints feel like when they feel healthy. When you are, if it hurts, don't do it. If it burns the muscles in a way that means, hey, I'm working, great. If it hurts the joints, stop. Talk to a personal trainer, a wellness coach, a wellness instructor. A lot of your group exercise instructors should be able to help with modifications. Talk to somebody if you don't know how or why something hurts. Sometimes that might need to be a doctor. So just, base that off of what you feel in your body.
All right. Flexibility. Jenny mentioned yoga. Very important. And I think that's one area in my life, my personal life, I need to pay more attention to. But as we get older, it's recommended, people over the age of 50, that we hold our stretches for 50 to 60 seconds. When we're younger, holding them for 10 to 20, 30 seconds is adequate. But our fascia, which is, I guess I will compare the fascia to if you take a chicken breast and you've got kind of like that slimy, filmy stuff on top of it that encases the muscle. That's what we have underneath our skin. That's what encases our muscles. So the fascia, as we get older, becomes tighter, which makes it more important for us to be flexible. And it's almost like a daily requirement, I'm going to say. When do you stretch? Whenever it's convenient for you. When you're at the gym, it's better to warm up the muscle before you start stretching it. But I know some people, they get a lot of benefit from before they get out of bed in the morning. They start wiggling and stretching and moving. So whatever works for you. But as Jenny and I are going to tell you repeatedly, listen to your body. If something hurts, you need to stop. Your body's talking to you. Exercise should not be painful. That old saying, no pain, no gain, they threw that out a long time ago. You know, please listen to your body. You don't want to develop bursitis, tendonitis, or here I sit with a little wrist brace on, okay? That was not well, maybe it was an overuse injury. Too much gardening.
But that flexibility is super important, especially if you're doing, it's always important, but especially if you're doing strength training. So after you tighten a muscle and you strengthen it, you also want to stretch it out to maintain that elasticity in the muscles. And keeping those muscles flexible is also going to help with the range of motion of your joints. So when we think about our bodies, it's not a bunch of interdependent systems that work individually. It is all connected, just like these dimensions of wellness. And if we are working on strength, we also need to work on flexibility to make sure that those muscles have a nice balance. And you also want to make sure that your opposing muscle groups, so like the front and back of your core, or like your biceps and your triceps, if you train one, you need to train the other just as much as you possibly can, depending on what your joint restrictions are. The same as you need to stretch them as well. Don't overstretch, but stretch. Just a little side note for any of you who do hot yoga, be careful to not overextend those muscles, because then you get into the realm of risk and harm versus benefit. So make sure that you are stretching in a good way and strength training in a good way. Listen to your body. That's going to be a common theme too. Modify and listen to what your body is telling you.
That might be another video. A topic is the hot yoga. So but I won't go there right now. So let's talk about balance. I hear a lot of people asking, how can I improve my balance? And they spend a lot of time strengthening their legs, which is all amazing. But our balance really comes from the strength of our core muscles. Like Jenny said, we have core muscles in the front, we have core muscles, everything is connected. It wraps around our body. So the stronger our core, the better our balance is going to be. You know, doing little practices like standing on one leg, having your strong legs. There's a lot of different balance exercises that your wellness instructors and personal trainers will be able to help you with. But again, it's staying within what is comfortable for you and that is safe for you. And they always have something solid nearby that you can put your hand on. So if you are doing a single leg balance, that you don't lose your balance and end up on the floor. All right, so the balance is very important.
And balance is something that we need to train at any age. Because having that strong core, not only does it help with our breath and our form during our other exercises, it also helps with fall prevention. It helps keep everything nice and tight and aligned. It helps with our posture, which is another component. Like, you always want to use good form. So balance is going to be key for good form, as well as we age, our balance starts to deteriorate, and we have to really make sure to take care of that balance, take care of ourselves, so that we can remain upright and nice and healthy.
All right. Injury and disease prevention. A lot of experts will agree that stress is a common denominator in all diseases. That being said, finding healthy ways to manage our stress is key to preventing disease. Maintaining a healthy weight, eating a diet made up mostly of vegetables and fruits also contributes to disease prevention. But it also, if we go back a little bit, it creates an anti-inflammatory diet. Inflammation in the body is what, I mean, if you think of anything with the letters itis at the end of it, that's caused by inflammation. Arthritis, bursitis, tendonitis, gingivitis. It goes on. Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. And that dude was old, you know? But they knew centuries ago how important healthy organic food is to the human body. Sometimes, and a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of injuries happen when people use poor training technique when they're lifting or exercising. Or they jump into an exercise program too fast, too soon. We've been coaching people as they've returned from the pandemic. Don't try to start where you left off. You got to build that strength and flexibility back. So if you're new to an exercise program, the best idea is ask your wellness instructor, ask the trainers at the Y or wherever you are, what's the best way for you to get back into an exercise program? And if you've been exercising right along, you don't want to hit a plateau. You want to constantly introduce new things to your body, so you're always challenging the muscles and the bones and the ligaments. I've always been a big advocate of cross-training, where we're using different muscles. A lot of young people today, a lot of kids, they play one sport year-round. Maybe it's basketball. Well, you're only using certain muscle groups when you play basketball. But if you take somebody who maybe they play soccer, basketball, and baseball or softball, they're using upper body, lower body. They're using a variety of muscles, and they complement each other. So one group doesn't get overworked, which leads to an injury.
Yes. So along with injuries, we also talk a lot about disease prevention in physical wellness, physical fitness. And some diseases are genetic, and that's just how it goes. So finding a way to work on your physical wellness and physical fitness around those genetic conditions, it's definitely possible. You just have to find the right person that can help you out with that. So things like different metabolic diseases, different cardio diseases, some osteological conditions, they're genetic, and you didn't do anything wrong. It's just luck of the draw. That's just what you ended up with. However, that does not mean that you can't engage in a type of physical fitness that is going to be beneficial to you. The key is finding those people that know how to help you and modify and figure out what is going to work best for your condition and your set of circumstances. And honestly, a lot of what we're talking about today goes hand in hand with the nutrition component that we're going to talk about in our next video.
Yes. So as Jenny was saying, finding the right type of exercise. So I have an injury to my wrist. That doesn't mean for 4 to 6 weeks I'm not going to exercise. I am just going to find exercise that I can do without the use of one hand, right? But even lifting with this hand, I think it does have an effect on strengthening the other side. But again, we'll get more
Everything's
into
connected.
it. Yes. So when we're talking about the strength of our bones, there's a myth out there that osteoporosis is an old person's disease, and it is not. Osteoporosis, we develop bone strength prior to the age of 30. So all that running and jumping and playing you do as a young person contributes to the health of your bones when you become an older person. So it's not to say that your bones can't stay strong after the age of 30. It's what you did prior to that. And there are foods and drinks and beverages that unfortunately can harm your bones. But regular exercise is not just about the muscles, it's not just about your heart. It's about reducing the rate of injury to your bones. It's keeping your bones strong. But unfortunately, exercise that's too vigorous can actually cause an injury to your bone.
So that's the key part of finding that person to work with, whether it's a trainer, a health coach, a friend who specializes in those type of areas. Just make sure that you're talking to somebody who truly knows how to help you, because there's a lot of harmful information out there, which is why we're trying to put out some good information for you all. Now, Nancy mentioned all the things that we do prior to the age of 30. That does not mean if you are over 30, there's nothing you can do.
Right. Sorry about that.
No, it just means that those first 30 years are crucial. And so that way, if you are realizing now after the age of 30 that, oh, maybe I didn't do what was greatest for my bones because I didn't have access to that information, that's okay. There are things that you can do now that can help benefit your bones. So within the bone, just like every other tissue in the body, there are teeny tiny little cells that help regenerate, and they help heal, and they help repair things. So you know when you get sore after a workout, those are your muscle fibers that have been torn, and they are repairing themselves. It's the natural state of how our bodies exist, how we heal from injury. So the good thing is that you are still able to take care of your bones through finding the right type of workout, whether it's working out in the pool to decrease the amount of impact on those joints, or just doing like using resistance bands or Pilates balls, and not doing like super heavy weights, paying attention to how your joints feel. Yoga. I'm a huge advocate for yoga, and that is a type of exercise that is great for your bones.
And brain.
And your brain. And your brain. Yoga's just really good for all things.
Everything.
But yeah, so when you take care of your muscles, make sure you're training strength and flexibility. When you're taking care of your muscles, make sure you're also taking care of your joints and your bones away from the joints as well. And I'm sure we'll do some sort of video that will talk about some more like specifics of these. If you have questions, please drop them below. Our next video will be about nutrition, and that will be physical wellness part 2.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.